We're ready to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Brian Mahan.
Present.
Dave Schmidt.
Present.
Doug Husted.
Present.
Pat Rashevsky, present. Brian Giese.
Present. And if you can, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll have a virtue card reading. Pat, are you going to do the honors today?
I like doing this. Purposefulness. Being purposeful is having a clear focus. Begin with a vision for what you want to accomplish and concentrate on your goals. Do one thing at a time without scattering your energies. When people let things happen, when people let things happen, when you are purposeful, you make things happen. You are practicing purposefulness when you have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish, know why you are doing it, focus on a goal, get back on purpose if you get scattered or distracted, do things one at a time and finish what you start, persevere until you get results. Affirmation. I am purposeful, I am clear about what I am doing and why, I stay focused on my goals, and I know I can accomplish great things. And I really like this one because they've got a picture of a chessboard on the front.
Of course.
And I am the chess coach too, by the way.
Thank you very much, Pat. And then we have the Board of Education guidelines. With an open mind, we will establish an atmosphere that allows expression of all views, even when views are not in line with all members, being respectful of time. We will work collaboratively with the district administrator by having open and honest conversations around district priorities. We will work collaboratively with all stakeholders to monitor key indicators so that equitable teaching and learning results in high achievement. We will work toward building a trusting environment where both students and staff can reach their full potential and celebrate successes in academics, the arts, and athletics. Our Board of Education guidelines. At this point, I'd like to open the floor up to any public comments. Quiet crowd tonight. Quiet crowd. Well, tonight, showcasing student schools and student learning. First up, we have the Central Wisconsin STEM Academy update. Thank you very much.
We met as a board last night, so we wanted just to provide a quick update, and there's probably a dozen of those, so you may have to share. One of the things that CWSA is doing this year that's new is setting some deliverables or expectations that have to be done every week. So this slip of paper shows kind of what the staff has done, and they've taken the acronym of CWSA and applied different education items to it so that the kids can fulfill the different expectations. So they watch CNN for 10 minutes every day, and then they have one article that they have to do per week. They have to pick one per week to report on. They also do weekly TED Talks, study English, which could be vocabulary, spelling, anything that falls into that ALE standpoint. And then the A stands for around North America. So the W, the S, and the A are one topic per month, and they cannot wait till the last minute. They have to at least turn something in every week. And as a parent of a student there, they're really enjoying kind of knowing what the expectations are, having that little bit of structure, but the freedom to pick, say, one of the 4 TED topics that they can see, and being able to kind of control some of that learning process.
Fantastic. Could you highlight one of your sons so far that he's done?
The only thing I've actually read is one of his other projects for the American Dream. He had me review that the other day. And that's part of the English stuff that they're working on in general as they're starting to ramp up. And we talked last month about the spreadsheets that they're doing to track standards. And he's brought that home to share with me as well. And the kids are excited about being able to track and know where they are and being able to understand where they're proficient.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you very
And I
much.
hope you feel better.
Yeah, with that, I'm gonna take my germs and
It'll be interesting to see what, what kind of comes out of these expectations. It might be nice to highlight one of these maybe next month, possibly.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Next up, we have the NHS Link Crew presentation. And you're gonna.
I'm naturally standing, so I guess you guys can follow.
You're gonna define what Link Crew means, right?
Sure.
Okay.
So LINK is not an acronym. It's just to kind of showcase that you're linking freshman students with upperclassmen to help in the freshman transitions program. So over the past couple of years, we really looked at and noticed that freshmen coming into our building were struggling with the transition from middle school to high school, with grades mattering and credits accruing and GPA, and a lot of those terms are stuff that a lot of the kids didn't necessarily understand how important they were and the meaning that they were going to follow them for 4 years, and then once they have the transcript for the rest of their life. So Keith and I had looked in about this time last year and started searching for programs, and Boomerang Project is who runs the Link Crew portion. And we listened to a webinar and thought, hey, this is definitely something we could give a try to. So Keith, myself, Ellen, and Mike Shainfeld, high school science teacher, attended a 3-day, very intensive training, but it was my favorite training that I've ever done. It was really, really unique in the fact that we were trained as a whole group. So most of the sessions or trainings we have, everyone has a guest speaker and everyone goes to breakouts. Well, yes, we went into small groups, but each small group was doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, and then we would come back large group and practice it, and it was all teaching us how to bring those activities back to train our Link Crew members. So at this time, we have 19 juniors and seniors who are our Link Crew leaders. We spent a couple days this summer with them and 1 day in May training them with their binders, and then they are actually who coordinated our first half of our freshman only day. We had a large group in the auditorium, and then the 2 Link leaders have 8 to 10 students in their crew, and they went to the rooms around the school and led them through these different team building activities and different structures. Jasmine is one of our Link leaders, and she was more than happy to come today to speak about it. And she has some perspectives on what it's like from the leader standpoint. But Mrs.
So I think the exciting part about it is that you guys looked at the school culture as a whole and said, we need to do something to change this a little bit. We need to tweak this and make it more welcoming for our freshmen so that the transition's easier. And that they can start achieving at a higher level right away as they step into our building. And the great thing about Link is it's not us telling the freshmen these things, it's our student leaders. And with Link, they stress diversity. And I know when I throw out the word diversity, we all think, what we look like, but they stress diversity across the board. So they want somebody from chess club, they want somebody from football, they want somebody that gets great grades, and they want somebody that, school's kind of hard for. And they really do that to create a camaraderie in the groups. And we saw with our 19 leaders, them just really step it up. When our freshmen came in, we had them doing hard things. and they did, and I think that they have acquired leadership skills that they didn't know they had. And it's fun to see them blossom and grow as they're kind of pushed a little bit more and a little bit more out of their comfort zone. But I think they're seeing those comfort zones expand then. And they've just done a fabulous job. And it's been exciting that way. One of the things that they said is You want to teach them that they need to work hard and be kind. And that's really the atmosphere that we're creating in the high school. And I think our leaders that we've chosen have done a fabulous job doing that. I see them connect with the freshmen in the hallway. I see them answering questions, not during link crew time, but just in the hallways passing. And that's a big change from the words that were being exchanged before between the upper and the lower grades. And so I think that's super exciting, and I think it will snowball as it becomes more and more the level of what we expect of those around us. Then those that aren't part of link crew actually catch on, and they do that because they see others doing that. So do you want to share a little bit what it's like to be in charge?
I actually am, for the first year of doing link crew in the high school, I think it went really well for not really knowing how much what we were going to get into from previous years. But I know when I was a freshman, I wish I would have had like someone there, like a program there, like link crew for me. But I don't know, I'm kind of like lucky to be one of the first members of it, and I hope that it kind of escalates better, like more than just now for the the following years. So I don't know.
So the first part
Yeah.
that the students did is, yes, they were in charge of running the first half of our freshman only day. But there's maintenance to be done throughout the entire school year. So before we had even as coordinators come up with a time frame of how often we wanted the kids checking in on them, they've already created their own calendars with their crews of like, okay, I'm coming in on these days and I'm going to touch base with you here, and here's my email address. And we have some that are already setting up challenges for their kids. If you achieve this much, I'm going to bring in this. And so they are finding so many different ways to stay engaged with their crews. And that was something we were wondering is what that maintenance was going to look like. There is no maintenance. The kids are loving it. The freshmen are like, hey, when am I going to see my crew leader again? So it's been really, really positively reinforced on the leader and the freshman side of it. For the students as a whole, there's been a lot of students that are saying, hey, I'm a junior, what is this? I maybe want to be a part of it next year. And we were just impressed for the first year with no one knowing anything about it. We had 39 applications for students and only 20 spots. So we're only hoping to see that increase as interest increases, and that's what allowed us to get a very diverse group of students to run this program, and not only run it, but do it really well. And for the first year, we are so proud of what the kids have stepped in to do. It's definitely not in credit to us, it's in credit to them wanting to help out with their peers, wanting to be that leader, setting their goals and expectations for themselves higher than some of them have had a reason to do before.
What did you hear from some of the freshmen?
Oh, I brought a printout because they were asked. And so it says that I had great leaders. They tried to include everyone. Love seeing new people that I've never talked to before. So, I mean, you think about Nekoosa being a small school, but I think you'd be amazed at the number of students within the same grade that really don't communicate with one another. And so this really helped to break down that, because they weren't with their best friend. They didn't get to choose their crews. We chose those. So we were able to spread them out and allow them the opportunity to create new relationships. Love it being so positive. Love the 64 block challenge, and you guys would have to come see that. There's lots of challenges and fun things, juggling with a crew. And so I think you can tell how fun it was, because then we had the sophomores come to us and ask us to run some of the activities with them. So last Friday, we ran activities for just the sophomore class because they were feeling left out. And so it's really, I think it's just helped kind of settle in that this is the way we do school, and that this is a positive thing. It's a positive atmosphere. It's a positive way to look out for each other and to interact with each other. I think the Link Crew leaders have done a fabulous job of expressing to these students, we expect respect, and you need to treat teachers that way and administration that way. And I think that we've seen a change, and I think it will just continue to get better and better as they learn that this is how we're going to do it here.
That's huge.
And I know a lot of like freshmen probably don't want to really be like seen or talked of or anything. And a lot of them actually like talk to you and act like now that you actually talk to them in their freshman year, like their freshman only game,
Yeah.
like they actually realize that upperclassmen aren't that bad. So
Yeah, that's true. That
I
used
know,
to be a
yeah,
huge
it
fear.
was.
You can speak to that. You're not too far removed from that.
Yeah.
It's just been a conversation piece through all the grades. Even the upperclassmen who aren't link leaders are questioning what it is. The sophomores are saying, hey, why didn't we do this? So we've just really seen positive results all the way
Well,
around.
and I think it's kudos to the staff for really being responsive to that sophomore group. Because you could have said, no, sorry, that's for freshmen, but that
We've
shows a
actually
lot.
changed advisory a little bit. So every Friday, all of our advisories are doing group activities. And then this month, the first Friday was for freshmen, second sophomores, this week is juniors, and then next week will be seniors. And then on the next month, it'll be an all-school thing on one of the Fridays. So we're really trying to
Awesome.
get some movement going amongst different populations of the kids. And Link is helping us do that because we're stealing some of their activities.
Good.
Gentlemen, thank you and your peers for stepping up to the plate to represent this LINK program.
And I did share some pictures of your first day activities with the board. So somehow I got pictures, so they saw you in action. I wasn't allowed to come in. You're not allowed, just the LINK crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is, we discussed how next year we're gonna have to tape it. Because a lot of the staff could hear us in there hooting and hollering and music playing and kids laughing and they're like, what, we wanna witness that? That's a good energizer for us as staff. So, and we did some of the activities with the staff
Yeah, we
in
did.
meetings last year just to kind of give them a little taste of it, and it's fun for any age.
Awesome. We'll count on Keith to show us a couple of
There you go.
admin meetings. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, congratulations on a very good year started.
Did the board have any questions, or did they pretty much cover it? Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Hey, what's gonna happen with them when they become sophomores? Is there a
So-
plan for that at this point?
No, Link Crew is not intended to follow them to their sophomore year because they don't want to dilute
Okay.
the process. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to tell them, oh, you can no longer reach out to your Link leader even if they're a senior. But they really want to protect the Link leaders to giving all of their attention to the
To
freshmen.
the freshmen, okay.
Mhm.
It's just a question I have.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as
Thank you.
juniors, we want them to become link leaders.
Right, I get that.
And as of right now, over half the freshman class wants to be a Link leader because
Really?
they're engaged in it. So,
Good role models, Jasmine.
Cool.
Yes,
Very good.
absolutely.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, Nick.
Nick, welcome. Nick, is this your first meeting
Yeah.
as student representative? We'd like to welcome you to the board and thank you for being the student representative, and we very much appreciate your feedback, and hopefully feel free to ask questions and engage as much as you'd like.
Thank you. So I'm just reporting a little bit on student council and what we've done so far this year. We've done a lot of homecoming work. That's been the main portion of it, is that time of the year, and a lot on spirit days, flow building, those sorts of things. So a lot of that's been the main thing that the full group has worked on, and executive council. So we've also seen a little bit more interest this year than we've seen previous years, so that's a good thing to report, of course. Something going on behind the scenes is Nekoosa's Got Talent. We're working to try to do a charity event for Hurricane Harvey and Irma, so that's something we're putting together for December. So more information on that, hopefully homecoming pep rally is when we want to kind of announce that. So, and a few other things we're working on is school beautification and things like school spirit days for holidays. So that's kind of what we have right now, and we're looking to expand throughout the year, of course. So that's about all I have.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I like your jacket. You're representing Damatar, our largest employer in the city of Nekoosa.
All right, any questions for me at all?
How long have you been on the student council?
I've been in the student council since 6th grade, and I was president 8th grade year as well, so.
Fantastic. Well, we welcome you to this environment and look forward to your input.
All right, thank you. I am going to head home because I am quite under the weather and I need some rest before school tomorrow, so.
Well, we understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for showing up.
Get better, Nick.
Thank you.
Get better.
Thanks for the work that you do. Okay. A lot of good information, folks. And we're going to continue with that. We're going to continue with that with reviewing PI-26 plan, academic and career planning services. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer Jackson. Jennifer, thank you very much.
Hey, how's it going? First board meeting of the year for me.
Yay, not the last.
I don't get a nameplate yet. I'm not here enough. All right, so PI-26 was state legislature implementing academic and career planning as part of it, and state of Wisconsin and DPI says that all students in grades 6 through 12 starting this school year need to have academic and career planning services unique to their own districts. But part of that was approving a PI-26 plan through their boards of education. So, well, this is what we got. So, I sent a copy of it to Diana. I think she's, okay, all right, perfect. There were some spelling errors, and then I sent her an updated one. Oh, perfect, excellent. So ACP is Academic and Career Planning, and it is a student-driven, adult-supported plan that students start when they're in middle school, so in grades 6, 7, and 8 with Corey, and their advisors, or I don't know what you call them, down at the middle school.
Grade level advisors.
Grade level advisors, and then as they transition up to the high school, they'll have the same advisor for all 4 years. That'll help them work their way through the process while they're in high school, and eventually we look, unlike some other districts, we're looking really grade 13. So not just to graduation, but what are you doing post-graduation, whether it is entering the workforce, military, or some form of training, whether that is mid-state or a 2-year, 4-year, an adult apprenticeship program, whatever that might be. So their high school advisor will help them figure out how do we get to step 13, not just end at June 10th this year for those seniors. So as part of PI-26, we looked at the Wood County job market, their numbers from 2015, as well as WorkNet and Wisconsin Career Pathways, looking at what are the main areas of employment in Wood County, where do they see the most growth, and in our area it's education and health services, construction, professional and business services, and leisure and hospitality. So to help provide our students in those areas, we do offer dual credit options with our local technical college as well as through advanced placement courses. We have work study as well as youth apprenticeship options, and our CTSOs, FBLA, FCCLA, and HOSA as all forms of learning that students can participate in. As they go through the process, we're looking to communicate with parents with it. We are looking to revamp at the high school our parent-teacher conferences, where we are now going to schedule them. So you actually would meet with your student's advisor for a part of the process, about 15 to 20 minutes with your advisor, and then you have the time free following that to discuss academics. So if I'm the student's advisor, they may not take a business class, but they need to go and talk to Herr Black about German, so they'll not only meet with me as their advisor, but then go talk to the academic teacher as well as needed during those conferences. Looking to incorporate work with the Chamber, Job Center of Wisconsin, North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board as well. We have connections at Mid-State Technical College that we work very closely with to help prepare students for that post-secondary option. And then the biggest component of it is their ACP plan. Students have advisory 4 days of the week. You heard from the Link crew that that's their Friday activity is with their advisory group. Thursdays are designated as ACP days, where we also look at grade checks, graduation progress. We'll have 4-year planning during that time to figure out what courses they need to take, as well as club meeting days on 2 of those days of the week. They have different components of it, and the biggest part is they do have a career portfolio they have to complete, and they have to hand that in as part of their career and financial literacy course, which is, for this senior class, a graduation requirement. So they have to do it. Our biggest ploy with that is you're only hurting yourself if you don't do it, because these are all things that'll help you transition to post-secondary or the workforce or both. There's hyperlinks in your doc about high school activities. Corey can elaborate on the middle school
Sure.
stuff.
Be happy to. So at the middle school, really when we start targeting an actual portfolio for the students is 6th grade. That's what the state is mandating at this point. In 4th and 5th grade, it's just simply exposure to careers through classroom guidance lessons, teachers and classroom discussions through advisory. In the advisory outline, we built in a careers unit this year. Sometime in February or March, the teacher should be just kind of opening that discussion with the students. And just at that point, it's very informal. It's interest based. What are you interested in? A lot of students will just, whatever their parents do, they kind of regurgitate that, or some favorite uncle or something like that. But it's to try to get them thinking a little bit more deep about, what do I really want to do with my life? And when we ask the students, a lot of them say, I don't know. Why are you asking me that at this point? I'm only in 6th grade. I don't really need to know that now. So just trying to kind of stimulate their minds and actually thinking about a career. What are you good at? So when you looked, I don't know if everybody did.
Yeah,
just starting in 6th grade with that career interest survey, that's really just a checklist of things they like and that they're good at. So that survey, then we'll kind of collect that. The 6th grade teachers have been fabulous about helping in the classrooms and kind of helping me facilitate a lot of those discussions. And then just kind of exposing them to, okay, where your interests lie, and then what kind of path you need to get there. Would that be a 4-year, a 2-year? Do you have to move out of state? Where would this take you? And so once they get kind of going with that, you can see them kind of come alive, and it gets fun. A lot of neat stuff out there. So just like I said, exploration of local schools, and then if it's local, or where would you need to go to get that. And then 7th grade is kind of where it ratchets up a little bit. We start partnering with Mid-State. They've been fabulous about inviting us to all kinds of great stuff. They have career days there, and even though they can only really expose them to what they have to offer, they're good about giving out literature, or, if a student says, I'm not going to 2-year, a lot of the staff have kind of helped facilitate, what is it you want to do? And they can kind of give some guidance, because a lot of people there have had other careers and stuff. They didn't just start and jump right into a tech school. So it's kind of neat to see that open discussion they have with the staff over there. Last year we brought the 7th grade there, and they did wonderful. It's very hands-on. They did some soldering and some, just getting their hands right in there. It's neat to see. So we're invited back for that this year. We have a good relationship with a couple contacts there that they've been, keep sending us stuff, literature, sign-up sheets. So that's been great. And then in 8th grade, we start off with a heavy metal bus tour in October that comes up really quick. So we're already planning for that. In the past, just kind of looking back through the notes, it says subject to availability, meaning in the past they may say, we have 50 openings. Well, that was hard, looking back through previous notes. Well, they had to write an essay and then try to decipher who goes. And I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore. They've invited our entire grade the last couple of years. So
Will you just describe heavy metal bus tour that Ford might not know?
Sure.
Exactly.
So heavy metal bus tour is really a bus tour. And so we went to several cranberry marshes, Domtar, Urco, what else did we do? A lot of the factories. It's a lot of the bigger industries in the local area. And again, you'll get a lot of, I'm not going to pick any of these, so why does it pertain to me? Okay, so we'll have a lot of discussions. That day it's about careers. It's not about, I'm not going to work on a cranberry marsh. It's okay, what do you want to do? And again, it's just getting them involved and thinking about it. So Mid-State really sets a lot of that up. I just have to do a lot of the logistical stuff, but they'll kind of say which industries, which factories are inviting us this year, and we just kind of go. So that was a big hit last year. The students did great. And there's other schools that go, so it'll be some Rapid schools will be there, all the surrounding schools, and we're all just kind of, I mean, we're on a bus together, but you're intermixing with the other schools, while you're there. So it was neat to see some of the students would talk to the students from other schools, and you could see them kind of mixing and mingling and, talking about careers and stuff like that. So that was awesome last year. Our students did fabulous, didn't embarrass us one bit, it was good questions. A lot of them, they'll ask a question and they'll give out a prize, so they kind of encourage people, not just the students, not to sit there and be quiet, they get them really involved. So that was neat. We're gonna do that again this year. Also in 8th grade, we do, that's where we really start with targeted units. So last year we did it during morning meeting or advisory, where I would come in for a lesson. It was 6 weeks worth of lessons. And it's a computer-based program we've been using, Career Locker. That's what the high school has been using as a tool. It was already in place when I got there, so I just kind of kept using it, and I loved it. Career Locker it basically is a whole bunch of inventories rolled into one. So we set students up with an account, they write down their information, and then we just do like 6 to 8 weeks of logging in, and you do a different inventory each week. And then at the end, we just have discussions about how did those come out. We print them all off. Oh, and I should say they started a portfolio in 6th grade, so the inventory they do in 6th grade I save, and then we just keep adding to it. And then I hand that over to Jen, and it just keeps following them. So what's nice about that Career Locker is that account stays active. It's a lifetime account as long as it's up and running. There's a small 3-year fee. I'd like us to keep getting it. $700 or $800, but it really streamlines between 8th and 9th grade very, very well. Even though they do the bulk of it in 8th grade, they could still log back in and at any point and redo any of those and get, because your interests will change, no doubt. We get that, so they can redo them at any time. And so I just have them write down all their information so they don't forget it. And it's a tool they can take with them. So it's really user friendly. I've done it on myself. It's easy. So that's middle school.
Yeah. So then we also do mid-state, like right now in October, all of our juniors are gonna go to the Wisconsin Education Fair. That's mid-state is hosting to just expose them to the different post-secondary options. Military recruiters would be there. Sometimes they'll have someone from like workforce development or other places like that at the mid-state campus, so that it gets all of our juniors there at least inquiring. And some will say, I don't wanna go. Well, you need to go. You should see what's out there, because maybe Mid-State doesn't offer your program, but Indian Head does, so maybe you are gonna go to a technical college, just not the one right down the road in Wisconsin Rapids. To help prepare staff, we actually piloted our ACP process. The first pilot was done in my class 2 years ago. Last year we piloted to the entire faculty to try and figure out what works, what doesn't with our plan. And I think we've each year figured out tweaks to make it work prior to this mandated start year. So I think we were ahead of the game compared to a lot of districts. That way, just because we were had that initiative to get it up and rolling.
I would say that, Ms. Jackson, that's due to your diligence. Is your spreadsheet still as sacred as it?
It is.
It is. Okay.
Mr. Johnson can vouch for that. No one has access to that thing.
Your efforts over the last 2 years have been exemplary to bring us to this point we are right now.
Thank you. And I have to thank Mr. Johnson. This year, I actually, as part of my daily role, I do get some ACP time built in, which is nice. So, not having to do all of it at home. But it is nice. I'm also now able to meet with our grade level advisories as well weekly to help prep them for their activities for that month. And also what I really am gonna like, we've never really had a chance to recap. Like what went well in September? What didn't go well in September? Tell me what I need to tweak in this so that next year when the sophomores do this again, what went well, what did not, because we really want it to just be, here it is. We're trying it out using Google Classroom this year, where all the grade level advisory teachers are in a group together, trying it out. We're hoping it works. Diana was great and created an account for me, so we're hoping it works. We're trial and error, but the whole goal is just students are thinking. They're thinking of post-secondary. What am I going to do when Nekoosa High School hands me that diploma? And, because it's like, you got a lot of years after high school, you know, so 4 years of really focusing, or really starting in the 6th grade, trying to figure out what am I talented in, what could I be good at, you know, and going from there. We do include our students with disabilities. The only unique group is our ID students, but they have their own special transitions that they go to figure out their career paths. But our other special education students are in advisories, they're mixed in, they're going through this process as well. And we do use our DVR reps for those transitions for them when they get to that graduation point. And then just the last thing is our dual credit offerings. We offer a lot of dual credits, which is very great for our size staff to offer so many transcripted credits or AP offerings for our students. So unless the board doesn't
Thank you.
like this, then that's our PI 26 plan. And part of the mandate with ACP is it needs to go on our website, and I have the page created. Just gonna slap this on there if you guys say it's okay.
The reflections, you know, I'm sure there's gonna be reflections built in, and if there is here. This, I just went back and looked at, there was a report card created for the 16-17 school year.
Yep.
This was, you know, something that showed some neat things on it, you know. One of the things that I noted on here was that the percentage of students attending a 4-year was pretty high. And it could have been a special class.
They were a very high achieving group.
Very high achieving class.
That graduating class was.
And I guess, you know, I just want to make sure that we serve that, you know, not all kids aren't going to, you know, that choice to go to college, and that this program, that career planning supports those other careers. And we take that bad name out of, that dirty name away from manufacturing, or, you know, getting into the workforce.
On the first day of school, I talked with the students about really 4 options after, you know, post-secondary. It could be a 4-year, it could be a 2-year, it could be enlisting in the military, or it could be a career, you know, pursuing a career. But really, one of those 4 options, not one of them is better than the other. It just depends on your choices.
Yeah, you know, it can be celebrated. But no, a fantastic program, Jennifer, and thank you for your.
Thank you, Corey.
Corey, for your participation.
Thank you very much.
One exciting note, just since we're on dual credit, intermediate tech math is now a transcripted course, and we're actually the first school in the mid-state district to transcript a math course. And that's thanks to certainly Jen's work and Mary Benbow's diligence in chasing down her transcripts from
Really good.
many universities.
Poor Mary.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that we are hoping to expand on transcripted. Mid-state in the last year has expanded in the general education area. So before it was advanced standing, which was harder for our students that if they did not attend mid-state, those credits transferring. With it being transcripted, it looks as if they attended it at mid-state. So they could go to a UW or a private 4-year and still potentially get those credits to direct transfer into a program, but for sure getting those transfer credits for electives that they may have to fill.
good, yeah.
So that, Mary did a lot of legwork to get that approved, so.
I think Midstate is our biggest partner in a lot of this, because like you said, Brian, the technical, it boggled my mind how many programs and degrees I had no idea that they offer there. And they're very good about saying, well, you could get some credits here, and then they help the students through that process. So, you know, they're good about partnering and saying, well, you could do some of this here, and then it'll carry over in other schools. So that discussion happens when we go there.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you very much.
This plan has been presented to the Board of Education for approval, PI 26, academic and planning services. So at this point, I'm looking for a motion to approve the plan as presented. So make that motion.
I got
We got a first and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Congratulations, Ms. Jackson and Bruce. Great plan.
Dave, you're still there, right?
Second, you know.
Okay. We don't mean to not be asking if you have questions.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, good.
You can hear us okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And now, let's see here.
All right, Marcus is up. Before Marcus comes to the front here, as part of our vision, empowering all students to succeed in a global community, one of our main strategies this year is social justice and equity. And what we are working towards is removing barriers so that all students are expected to and do achieve high levels, both academically and socio-emotionally. So we've been working with the Ho Chunk Nation over the last 3 years. There's a group that meets monthly to really talk about what can we do to break down those barriers and how can we provide the best services so that all of our learners are being successful in school. So last year we offered this SEED class, and it stands for, and I know it's tricky, Seeking Educational Equity and Diversity. So there was probably 12 of us in the district. How many was it, Michelle? 12. There's 12 of us that started out, and we met monthly, or almost monthly, for 3 hours and really took a look at ourselves and, you know, how we're doing with being good leaders of diversity in our schools. So Marcus is here tonight. So Michelle, they walked in a bit late. Michelle was our leader of SEED. And do you want to introduce yourself, Michelle?
Sure. My name is Michelle Cloud, and I work for the Education Department for the Ho Chunk Nation.
So we've got to spend lots of time with Michelle. And then Bethany, who introduced herself, she was here and spent the whole year with us during SEED. Both Bethany and Michelle come monthly with other folks to really talk about what can we do to break down barriers. So at our last meeting, Michelle had said that Marcus went and presented at Black River Falls, and Bethany said, we got to get him here. So here he is tonight. Marcus, you'll introduce yourself, right? Because we've not met.
You scarcely left me anything to say.
I got to meet Marcus. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here.
So, jeżeli wina education hingi ho chang ajra na ho chuki ga hingaide agi Michael ajra Marcus Lewis ga hingaide agi hanantra juwida hai pichi. So I'd like to say good evening to everyone. I'm glad to see you and thank you for this opportunity. Introduce myself. My name is Marcus, and I'm the Higher Education Division Manager for the Ho Chunk Nation. And the reason I'm here is because I've participated in SEED twice as a participant, and I'm also doing a study on it, on its impact on teachers for my dissertation. So I have a little bit of background in the information, and so I'll just come and share a couple things with you about it. I see you've seen the flyer. I see you have it there. So basically what SEED is an opportunity to explore issues related to education with regard to diversity and inclusion. It started out as a professional development opportunity for teachers originally. Peggy McIntosh founded it for the purposes of having a conversation about how can we make how can we educate our teachers to be able to, or to empower them to create more inclusive and welcoming classrooms for their students. And since then, it's become very, very prominent. According to the literature, since 2011, there have been over 37,000 teachers that have participated in the SEED experience. And so, of course, obviously that was 6 years ago, so there's been many, many more. It came to Black River Falls in 2012, and it's been operating ever since. So various numbers of groups and that sort of thing. But since it's grown, it's also become, as I mentioned, an opportunity for community members to participate as well. Which is kind of how I got involved with it. And as Terry mentioned, it operates concurrently with the school year. Gonna skip December because it's so busy with Christmas and all, programs and travel and that kind of thing and family time. But otherwise, it's a 3-hour commitment where essentially we explore topics. Topics such as racism or homophobia, sexism, gender identity, or privilege. I think privilege too, is a really misunderstood word. I think, mainstream has sort of co-opted it to, and white privilege is the only one that's talked about, but it certainly isn't the only kind of privilege that exists, and certainly not the one that's relevant, the only one that's relevant, rather. For example, there's male privilege, heterosexual privilege, ableism is part of these things. So essentially, it gives you an opportunity to talk about these things in a group setting. Similar to this, you'll sit in a circle and have some conversations. You also have the right to pass if you don't want to share something. Perhaps you just want to sit there and listen. So in addition to, like, we'll share stories and like your own experiences if you want, and we call that serial testimony. But there are lots of other ways to become involved as well. As I mentioned, you can pass if you're not comfortable sharing something. But also they involve different activities that maybe instead of verbal or more kinesthetic, something to get you writing or journaling, and in a journal that they'll give you, or to express yourself through art. Maybe it's easier for you to convey what you want to say through graphic images, or, well, yikes, but through illustration rather, as a way of expressing what you have to say or what you have to share instead of just, like I said, just through speaking. You also have, in addition to the right to pass, you have the right to say ouch as well. Maybe Brian shared something that was like, dang dude, like that wasn't cool. So I have the right to say ouch about that, and then we can go through, and the facilitators who have been trained at the national level will help process through that. Maybe it was something that, he said, or the way he said it that, resonated with me in a discordant way, that we'll go through and we'll process so that we can move past it. I think this is particularly relevant for school in general, even rural schools like Black River or this district, because students are changing, right? The issues are very different now than they were 20 years ago, where perhaps 20 years ago the largest issue was racism or bullying in that regard, but maybe now it has to do more, there's a lot more students who are out, that are comfortable expressing themselves as their new gender identity perhaps. They may want to transition, they may be exploring that part of themselves. They may also, like I said, just be out and mention that they're homosexual or bisexual or pansexual. There's lots of different gender identities out there. And so we start to discuss those things and what does that mean? Through a lot of different medium. Like, there'll be videos, there'll be articles, there'll be a little bit of homework, not too bad. But it's just an opportunity to discuss some of these things that are going on. And essentially, we're not really trying to change anyone's mind. It's not a cult. But essentially what we're trying to do is have a conversation. Perhaps you can be introduced to this topic. And it's interesting because sometimes you have to confront your own prejudice that you didn't really know was there. And I often say that it's helped me develop a vocabulary with which I can describe the experiences of my life. For example, just as a quick example, there's a place in Black River Falls that, it's a nice place, and the owner talks about why he has his beer prices so high. He said it was to keep out the riffraff. And now I get what that means, because he's talking as a comparison to a bar downtown where a majority Native Americans go, where the beer prices are $1 a beer, his are $5 or $4.50, because he wants to keep the riffraff out. And so just like some subcutaneous comments that are made like this that perhaps I wouldn't have been cognizant of or aware of 2 or 3 years ago, I get what you're saying now. You know what I mean? It helps to, again, give me a vocabulary with which to investigate some of these things that I've seen, perhaps tacit racism. Like, some people, there was some objection or some hesitancy in the past because it was like, well, I don't know, isn't C just like a Ho-Chunk 101 thing? And I was like, well, so what if it was? So it was, which it isn't, by the way. But it was just that, like, what's behind the other comment? So it helps you kind of peel back a couple layers because it makes you a little bit more aware of it. Not in a hypersensitive, looking to be ouched or offended kind of way, but I think it just enhances your willingness to investigate, what are people really saying and what do they really mean. And ultimately, it's just an opportunity to make the community more welcoming. And it kind of seems to be the theme of all the previous presenters that I've listened to this evening about creating connections and getting to know people. Because maybe you see Nathan at the store all the time or in this context, but you don't really know him. But having an opportunity to sit and discuss these things with him for 9 months, we get to know each other pretty well. It doesn't mean we're best friends and we're gonna, skip out, the door together. But at the same time, it gives you a deeper understanding of who they are and their own life experience, how they've become who they are. And it's not just a kumbaya thing. It's not like that. And like I said, you have the right to pass. And also, if it's not for you, no hard feelings. Just you can not come if you choose to, or if you need to miss a meeting, that's fine. It's not supposed to be like a entangling thing. Just an opportunity to, like I said, have a conversation. and to continue the work that you already do to make the community more welcoming and affirming and accepting. And like I said, it's really dynamic. It's a really dynamic experience. And so I hope you will consider checking out at least maybe the introductory meeting, which, as you see on your flyer there, is going to be Monday, October the 2nd. And there's food. That's a plus.
Good food.
So I'm in
Not chicken.
Chicken.
So I'm in the data collection right now, and my interview subjects have all said that was one of the things they liked.
The chicken?
That was the
No.
best part about it.
They don't like the chicken.
Nobody said that.
They had home cooked food
Marcus,
that year.
how often are the meetings? Are they monthly and once a month, or how does that work?
Usually once a month, and they'll be for about 3 hours. Like I said, this year they won't do December, but so it'll probably be October, November, then January through June.
So last year, it was mainly staff of the district, so we're really trying to, we'd like a couple school board members, we'd like hopefully the school board to perhaps take a couple flyers and go out so that we get some community members as well. So we've got some targets that set our eyes on, and so we're trying to be strategic to get, we're looking at 15 people, right? 15 people? 15 to 20?
No, not 20, 15 or less.
Oh.
30.
Thank you. Thank you, Curtis.
I was a participant with SEED, and so I know quite a few of you, and I found it absolutely a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed, I didn't know any of you before that, and I don't think, like Marcus said, we're going to skip out the door holding hands or anything, but I hug you guys now. I don't even like to hug people. And it's just a really good experience to get to know people that you wouldn't usually sit down and talk with. And it helps our professional relationship as well as our personal relationship. So I'm a strong advocate for SEED. I will be doing SEED 2, but there will be a SEED 1 group here as well. So there'll be a SEED 1 for those who are new and a SEED 2 group for those who have participated in SEED before.
I would skip out the door with you, Beth.
Would you? Okay, well then, never mind. I bet Lori would too, so maybe we'll
I
just
bet, yeah.
So any questions? But would you, the board,
Is there food at every meeting?
yes, every meeting.
We won't get Piggly Wiggly chicken, I promise.
I like the
Oh,
pizza.
okay, then every once in a while we will. Pizza, the pizza's good.
So, can I write down names tonight, or do you want to, we'll send out an email? But if you there's extra flyers here, if you could help us get flyers out, that'd be, at the police department. We really want a couple of police officers, actually.
So it will be at the Port Edwards Environmental Center, the first meeting on the 2nd, and that will be both SEED 1 and 2 meeting together and then breaking out into the different groups.
Dave, we're putting you down, Dave.
Sounds good.
All right, he's in.
Reiterate what Bethany said, because I went through it as well, and it really gave me opportunity as a new person to the community and to the school district to create those relationships and understand perspective of where everyone's coming from, and them getting to know me as well. So it helped, like you said, personally and professionally. It was a great experience.
And just after our last meeting, Bethany met with Brian and I to really talk about how we can capitalize on some of the services that the nation offers to support kids that perhaps that are involved in the nation with needs that they might have. So it's an ongoing process where we're really trying to break down those barriers. So.
And I know 3 hours sounds like a lot, but it flies.
It does fly.
It flies. Like all of a sudden you look at your clock and it's like, oh, we're done. Okay. So.
Thank you guys, Marcus. Very nice. We'd love to have you here at Nekoosa. So join.
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Probably nice to be.
Curtis, thanks for tagging along. Bye, Michelle. Thanks.
Very good, very good. Well, at this time, Miss Lynn Knight, I believe you next.
Each year, the district must short-term borrow in order to meet the operational needs of the district. The district has two main sources of revenues. We have taxes and we have state aid. We are about 66% funded by taxes and 34% funded by state aid. So because of the timing of the payments, we usually run into trouble usually around July, October, November, and December. So this actually resolution, we would like to participate in the PMA program again. Last year we did participate in the PMA program where we get multiple districts together to create buying power for our short-term note, which basically reduces our interest that we have to pay each year. So the resolution that you have in your packet is basically pre-authorizing the borrowing and delegating the authority to the Director of Business Services to sign off on the issue on the date of sale in October, and we do this every year. Last year we were asking for 1.6 million. Again, this year we are asking for 1.6 million.
The language and participation and in the PMA levy and aid anticipation program, that's simply just the authorization for the 1.6.
Correct.
Very good. Yep.
And to participate in the consortium.
In the consortium there. Very good. I'd like the motion is out on the floor for approval of that. We have a motion by Mr. David Schmidt.
Second.
Second by Pat Rashewski. Roll call, please.
Roll call?
Yes, I'm going to ask for a roll call on this one.
Okay. Dave Schmidt.
Yes.
Pat Rashewski, yes. Brian Mahan. Doug Husted.
Yes.
Brian Giese.
Yes. Motion's passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Mike. The next thing on the agenda is handbook. We are going to be moving the handbook to next month. There were some things that needed to be completed, so we will move that up. Next on the agenda then would be other board work, and that would be the EMS behavioral plan. Excuse me, EMS behavior management plan. And
that is linked to our website, and there is a responsive classroom link on there too. That I know, there's two different levels of responsive classroom on there. Elementary and a middle school level. So feel free to take a look at that, as that really is the basis for a proactive part of the behavior management.
Yep. Is there any more that you wanted to add to that, or that's just for our information?
Yep.
Okay. A lot of work went into this. Very thankful that as a board member I was invited to participate in some of the meetings this summer. Pat Rashewski did as well. Cross-functional groups with visiting teachers, what do we call that?
Guest teachers.
Guest teachers, students, staff members, administration, and a lot of hard work was put into it. And in addition, there was a great deal of in-service as well as professional development put into this. And it's something that as a district, I believe, again, optimistic and very excited about the implementation. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but there's been a lot of hard work put into it.
And a lot of it has to do with communicating that plan.
Yeah.
And talking with students about it, talking with parents about it, talking with teachers about it. And a lot of that work got done at the beginning of the year, but it continues to be an ongoing process of communicating that plan and really emphasizing where those proactive pieces fit and how we are operating to honor those proactive pieces.
Could you just highlight one of the situations where you've called the team together to resolve a situation?
Yeah. We've done it on several different levels with calling a team together. The most recent I can remember is when an individual had a challenging behavior, and we invited Al Kreider, who's a 6th grade teacher, and Amy Lehner, who's an 8th grade teacher, along with the parent and the student and Mr. Thomas and myself, to come together for a restorative circle around that and came up with a plan for that student that everybody was in agreement to, and really move forward towards a positive resolution for that. And even though, you know, the teachers that were on that, you know, may and may not have been teachers of that student, they all had an invested interest in it. And I'm appreciative for, you know, the embracing of that plan by the staff, because they're really, really working hard at making the proactive and the reactive work.
Very good. Thanks for your efforts on this, and, you know, I'm very, very hopeful and excited about the outcome. So thank you very much. Governance policy. Under policy governance, on the calendar this month, we only have one governance policy up, and that is GP8, which is Board Members Code of Conduct. And this can be summarized by this portion of policy statement. The board commits itself and its members to ethical, lawful, and professional conduct, including proper use of authority and appropriate decorum. This document was communicated with all board members. There were no findings of any non-compliances, so the board at this time finds itself to be in compliance with policy GP8. Well, I'd like to, we didn't have any non-compliances. Motion on the floor for approval of this monitoring report, GP8, Board Members Code of Conduct. And if there's any questions, please feel free.
So moved.
We got a motion by Pat Rashevsky, second by Doug Husted. All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Consent agenda. Everybody received the information in their packet. I'd like to read the donations. Is there anything anybody would like to say anything about the employment aspect? Not necessary, but donation. Anybody? Okay. Donations. Cliff Hudson donated athletic equipment to AMS. Marion Coyer donated $100 to Nekoosa High School Sports. Country Air Campground donated backpacks and school supplies and $80 to use towards lunch accounts and boxes of food for the Backpack for Kids program. Thank you very much. And this, again, Backpack for Kids, Joanne Walta and Michelle Olson donated school supplies and boxes of food. Sacred Heart Collections donated $45. Hometown Rome Players donated $1,000. Thank you. Marion Coyer, $100 for specifically Backpack for the Kids. 2 donations of $100 for Marion. Thank you guys very much for those donations. It's very much appreciated. We gentlemen are nearing the end of our meeting. Oh, I should do that, shouldn't I? There's a motion on the floor for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Yes.
We got a motion by Doug Husted, looking for a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Upcoming meetings, future agenda items. We have some things, the joint meeting with the Nekoosa City Council and the Nekoosa Board of Education. I don't know, this will be our, 4th or 5th meeting?
Yeah.
It's starting to gel a little bit. That's going to be September 28th at 5:30. For those of you that aren't aware, the Nekoosa School Board and the Nekoosa City Council are meeting together to discuss goals that we can work towards collaboratively. October 10th, the school board is going to be listening to building SAIL team presentation, 6:30 to 7:30. I think that, that the building administrators are going to be talking about what their professional developments and how they're applying them. And, I think there'll be time for open discussion. It might take more than an hour. October 12th, policy governance. This is going to be discussing any operational expectations or other policies under policy governance that are included on the policy governance monitoring calendar. At this time, I also would like to entertain any other items before we adjourn that you might want to see for future agenda items, or any other points of discussion before we close.
Mr. Deasy, I have something to add for the October agenda.
Yeah.
We had our insurance consortium meeting today, so I will be bringing the bylaws to the October meeting for the insurance consortium.
Fantastic. Congratulations. How many schools are involved? 12 schools. Wow.
So that 28th, real quick, the 28th, we had scheduled we actually scheduled our joint meeting on the 28th, and that was going to be another, hour and a half meeting. Well, I found out yesterday that they moved the planning meeting to the 28th, the strategic planning meeting. So at 5:30, we're going to just do a short half-hour joint meeting, and then at 6 o'clock, we're going to go into the strategic planning meeting. So there's really only going to be a half hour for the city and the school board to do some reflections on some of the work that's been taking place. But the whole board is certainly welcome to stay for the planning meeting on the 28th. So you can either have a half hour, well, both Brians have to be there for the whole time, but certainly you're welcome to stay. One of the pieces that we were going to be talking about was strategic planning anyway, so.
The city of Nekoosa is in the process of developing a strategic plan, and members of our board are on that committee, and there's been some progress. It's being facilitated by an individual by Peter Manually out of Wood County, and also Adam, I don't know how to say Adam's last name.
I don't know that.
Very, very good gentleman, and we actually met up in Stevens Point last week to work on some survey questions. But I'm very excited that, we as a community, the city of Nekoosa and the Board of Education, working together, not only, with regards to the things that we can collaborate on, but also in develop a strategic plan for our city and moving forward. And, it all comes down to for our students, for our kids, for our families. And we are ahead of the curve on this. There was some documentation that was presented by Chief Woods. Is that correct, Brian?
Yep.
That, talked about communities that were being involved in this process, and we are on the forefront of that. And I'm very happy for the city of Nekoosa's participation, and nothing but good can come out of it. I want to thank everybody for their time tonight. Brian, you didn't complain at all about getting done quick?
No,
We're doing okay?
How much longer would have we been good?
We gotta wrap it up.
We gotta wrap it up.
We're getting close.
Okay, Mr. Houston.
One item about the October 17th meeting, we've got the regular meeting and the annual meeting on the same date. Previously, we started the annual meeting at 6 and the regular meeting at 6:30.
That's
Is
true.
that the same thing, or are we starting the annual meeting at 6:30?
6.
We'll go with the old fashioned, 6 o'clock annual meeting. It seems like we just did this.
I know.
You can pass.
I know.
No.
Dave, 6 o'clock will work for you, correct?
Yes, you will.
Good.
Again, October 17th. Thank you very much, Mr. Husted, for that. Okay, gentlemen, we are at the point where we were looking to say goodbye to you.
Move to adjourn.
One motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your